Well, I suppose when I look back at my life, and I think they will remember me reasonably kindly.
Naomi Margaret Haldane was born in Edinburgh on the 1st of November 1897, the daughter and younger child of physiologist John Scott Haldane and his wife Kathleen Trotter. After being educated at Dragon School in Oxford, she later entered Oxford University to study science, but left in 1915 to become a voluntary aid detachment nurse during the First World War. In 1916, Naomi married the barrister Gilbert Richard Mitchison, known as Dick, who was a close friend of her brother Jack. The couple married whilst Dick was on leave from the Western Front of World War I. They went on to have 7 children together, 4 sons and 3 daughters. In May 1938, the Mitchisons bought a property on the west coast of Scotland, in the small fishing village of Carradale. In 1939, when World War II broke out, Dick and Naomi moved to Carradale on a permanent basis and enjoyed a long and deep relationship with Kintyre and its people, becoming very active in the local farming and fishing industries. But obviously, Naomi will be best remembered as a prolific writer, completing more than 90 books in her lifetime across a multitude of styles and genres. They both lived happily in Carradale to the end of their lives. Dick Mitchison died on the 14th of February 1970, and Naomi on the 11th of January 1999 at the age of 101, having continued to write into her 80s. However, happy memories of the Mitchisons are still very much alive, and the 10th of May 2013 saw politicians, writers, artists, poets and musicians all gathered in the local village hall to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Naomi and Dick Mitchison's arrival in Carradale in May 1938. To mark this occasion, Argyll and Bute Council funded a revised and extended version of an exhibition originally created by the National Library to celebrate the author's 100th birthday in 1997. Noufest, under the capable organising hands of Pam Galbraith, and so named after the nickname Noo that her grandchildren affectionately called her, was opened by her grandson Neil Mitchison, who recounted some fond memories of his grandmother and the happy times spent in Carradale.
The last time I was asked to make a speech here was in 1996. And I was asked to speak a few words on behalf of Naomi Mitchison. My grandmother, aged 98 at the time, dug me sharply in the ribs and said, "I'll speak." And she did. And I think there are some people here who can remember that. Noo was a remarkable woman. When Pam asked me to speak about her, I thought, how can I try and cover her life? I'm going to talk about 3 aspects. One, as you all know, she had a very strong political commitment. That commitment was to ideas of policy rather than particularly to a party. She became a very strong supporter of the Labour Party. My grandfather was a Labour MP from India. In her final years, she wondered about whether she agreed where the Labour Party was going, but I think it's worth asking where that political commitment came from. And I see very clearly where it came from when I look more at the history of her own people, the Haldanes. She was a Haldane of Clone. Her father was supposedly the last scientist not to believe in entropy. Her father was a scientist, was a physiologist and a doctor, and he spent most of his life trying to find out why miners were dying in mine accidents. And to the present day, some of his achievements, if you're a diver, when you go down now and you have to come up, And you have tables to tell you how long you take to come up. They are still called the Haldane tables, though they've been slightly modified since Nou's father, J.F. Haldane, developed them in the 19-teens. There was a political side. The other thing, which was very closely linked to that commitment to helping the disadvantaged, was empathy. Nou was extraordinary. You know, if I got on a train with her, by the time we arrived at the other end, two of the people in the carriage would have explained her their life stories to her, and they were probably going to go into her next book somewhere. You know, that was an extraordinary thing. And of course, the third, which we just took absolutely for granted, the 20 grandchildren. I'm afraid only 3 of the 20 were here, so we can't claim the 20 grandchildren who largely grew up here all had this sense that Carradale House, a little bit detached from Carradale Village, for a variety of reasons, including going back in social reasons, despite Nou's efforts to bridge that, and despite Nou's very conscious knowledge of those social differences, as, for example, in one of her books mentioned here, The Big House, which is exactly about a boy and a girl, and one comes from the big house and one comes from the village, and there are some tensions there. But the house was an extension of her personality. And even if we children were kept out of the drawing room, and we were definitely not allowed in there after supper, until there was a little knock on the door and somebody would come and there would be one parent or another dragged away, there was this feeling that somehow the house was just new. And it was very strange in later years, going to the house. The woman who has now become my wife came to the house for New Year one year, when Nou wasn't there. And it was the elephant in the room. It was a strange thing. It was the presence that wasn't there. Nou had a tremendous presence. I hope that this exhibition, I hope, you know, your own memories, talk about her. She would love it. She could be quite vain. She liked being talked about. Do that. Remember her. And I'm sure she would be delighted at what we're doing here in her name. So thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the evening.
The 3-day Noufest event featured a wide range of local and national talent and opened with a dramatised reading of Naomi's poem, The Albin Goes Out, performed by local artists Jane Dunbar and Sheila Cameron.
You stand beside me, rocking as the boat rocks. From the unaccustomed ankles, the knees in grey rubber thigh boots, the swaying hips. Dancer, oh dancer, to the seas moving, not mine now. The moon rises over Arran, creating immediately the diamond path, older than all ancient roads. Small lights come out, so many in one darkness. And under the high green arches, between gate and doorway, the essential sweetness of leaves.
Local accordionist and regular musician at the Big House, Alex McKinnon, recreated the ambience of Carradale House and entertained the guests within the hall to a number of dances and reels, before Naomi's great-granddaughter, also Naomi, had great pleasure in unveiling the new exhibition panels displaying her great-grandmother's life, in particular her time in Carradale. A short interval then took place between the formalities to allow the guests to enjoy a delicious hot and cold buffet before continuing with the tributes and performances.
Reaching out their hands for us. true wonder for the very last time. The street lights of Tarbert glow beckoning bright in the shivering cold of a dark winter's night. The cows in their glory are spread out below the high hills of Arran, all white capped with snow. I'll soon have to think of Australia's home, but the truth will be always Argyle. Always Argyle, always Argyle. Long may the memories linger. I'll soon have to think of Australia's home, but the truth will be always Argyle. Always Argyle.
A traditional Scottish ceilidh then aptly rounded off the evening with music by Archie McAllister and his band, allowing guests to fully enter into the atmosphere and spirit of the occasion. The Noufest exhibition remained in Carradale for the rest of the week, and it is hoped it will be seen on tour in Argyll and Bute and throughout Scotland in the future.